Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Six Rings King Show on a new night, Monday night now, baby. We're really excited, actually, to have Eric McLean on the show here, college football analyst, co-host of the Huddle. Coach, yes! All right!
First touchdown of the year.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a six-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vish, and DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real put alive from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the six-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards of Hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the Six Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Six Rings Canes basketball show. Co-host Matt with me. Matt, you weren't here last week, man. I'm going through withdrawal after I was talking to you like 3 times a week last month.
I know. I feel bad. I left you guys high and dry. I completely forgot that my fiance's little sister, it was her like end of year banquet for basketball, and I'm the one like training her, so I felt I had.
You made the right call, but we're still gonna make fun of you for it.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
This is the game you signed up for, man.
Yeah, that's exactly what I signed up for. But shout out to her because she ended up winning Defensive Player of the Year for her team. So major shout out to her. I'm trying to get her, at the level where she's getting recruited and stuff. So hopefully we get there. Maybe
we
Miami.
We do have an in with the coach if you saw last night's show. By the way, we're called the Buckets Show now. I don't know if you know that. The show's
Buckets.
Buckets. It's just
That's
buckets,
awesome.
Not the buckets, just buckets.
Oh, just buckets,
yes,
straight up buckets.
Katie Meyer named it, so we're gonna go with that.
I love it. I
asked her to
I
name the
buckets
show.
on the court too. So
she said buckets. We're buckets now. Our basketball coverage for Six Rings Kane is called Buckets.
Yeah.
That's speaking of your fiance, though, before we pivot to basketball, 10 days, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to start calling her something else than fiance in 10 days.
I know. So we have dance lessons we've been doing, and so we ramped those up. So we've been doing them 2 hours, 2 times a week. So I did them last night, and then on Monday too, we've been doing bachata. So it's been going better, I'll say. Not well, but better for me. She's a natural. She's better at it, but your boy does not have the natural rhythm. So.
Hey, but man, you're doing the Latin dances. You're embracing your Miami side, even though you're not from Miami. There's a little Miami in all of us, I always say, and you're embracing that. So
exactly.
So there you go. It was a natural move for you there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been a lot. So thank you guys for holding down the fort with everything and stuff. So
one day the dream, we will get all 3 of us on here together.
I know, the trio, right?
Yeah.
The triple threat, right?
Yeah, we're still trying to come with like a pun with oh wait, here we go. We're sort of all here.
Oh, you know how you were just talking about like how many views you guys were getting this month or whatever? Yeah. It would definitely go down. We do not want that. We do not want to see that.
Melissa. I don't know. It could go viral also.
That's true.
But Melissa, we're still going through your box of crap. Like that's happening. She's got a box of stuff.
Maybe I should
she used to take the
Coach
games.
L.
Oh, you should definitely do that. That would go viral.
There we go.
And then Melissa will have to figure out who we cheer for because we gotta support our boy here. But it's
yeah,
Coach
no,
L.
I wouldn't blame you.
No, I gotta back you. You're part of the Six Ring K's family, so we gotta back you.
There we go. Respect.
Yeah, you gotta do that. All right, man. Let's get to. Well, actually, before we do hoops, let's do sponsor real quick because I'm definitely gonna forget, as I'm sure I'll be rushing out of here for the Formula One show. But sponsor is Prize Picks. So if you go to PrizePicks.com and enter the offer code FIVE, that is the word 5. You can see it scrolling across the bottom. And you deposit up to $100 will be matched by Prize Picks if you use the offer code FIVE. Prize Picks is a way for you to gamble responsibly on sports by betting the over/under on stat lines, So you pick 2 to 5 players. There'll be, for various stats, line set. You pick over or under. If you get them all right, you win some money. And the more players you include, the more money you'll have the opportunity to win. So that sounds appealing to you. Go to our sponsor, prizepicks.com, enter the offer code FIVE, and we'll match your first deposit up to $100. All right, man. Time for some hoops talk. All right, so a couple of things. Let's start with, before we shift to the portal. So both Nijel and Norchad's names are in the draft. Now,
Yeah.
They retained their eligibility. Norchad definitely did. Nijel didn't say anything.
Do we view that as like a negative thing? Because in my opinion, it's
okay.
Okay,
Let's start with Nijel then. So
okay,
he didn't say anything at all. It's just that the NBA releases, because the deadline is now passed to put your name in, and he was on the list of people that put his name in. So that is all we know about Nijel. So I guess let me throw that question. I think you were trying to ask me back to you. How do you read that situation?
Yeah, no, I just read it as he's doing it to get feedback, like a lot of players do, and that he has every intention of coming back to school, because I think both you and I can agree that if he wants to elevate draft stock, he needs another year. And, this coming season, I kind of see it similar to the Jordan Miller type situation. He found his groove kind of later into the season and started really getting going. More of a consistent scorer as time went on, and have more of an established consistent role next season to really build up that draft stock.
Yeah, Melissa's chiming in with the don't panic. Yeah, which I agree with. I actually think so. The fact that he hasn't said anything actually makes me more comfortable he's coming back. I think he would have said something. Like if he was like even considering it, was like, yeah, I'm putting my name in. He didn't even do an announcement. It does really feel like he's just wants to go through like the process behind the scenes and come back. Also, not that it's everything, but he's on the payroll for another year for $400K. So
yeah,
his thing was that everyone threw around the $800,000 number, which was accurate. It came from John Reese directly, so we can assume it's accurate. But it was a 2-year $400K per contract. It wasn't an $800 up front. So he'd really have to think, I'm going to get, because there are options, right? Some people are just done with college. You can go make a lot of money in Europe, that any normal person would kill for that kind of a salary, right? So I totally understand that some players leave, like, I'm not going to get drafted, but I can go play professionally anyway. But if you're getting $400K here, I mean, that's setting the bar pretty high for what you'd have to make next year to warrant it. So yeah. I'm pretty comfortable.
And can I just say one thing too? A lot of times when people talk about like going to play in Europe, they don't realize like the harsh realities of it. I have a few friends that played professionally in Europe. I know I've talked to former Miami players that, play in Europe either currently or used to. And, there's a lot of problems playing in Europe where like maybe you don't get paid, obviously you're out there yourself unless you decide to bring your family out there, or, if you're a younger guy, then it's not necessarily as big of a deal. I'm sure it's great, to go live in Europe, but it's a struggle and it's a different kind of grind. So having that guaranteed money, like with NIL as well, that's like a major thing.
Yeah, and even that's part of the draft evaluation, because we use Europe generically. There are some leagues that are high-end leagues where you will definitely get paid, where you'll be treated well, and then there's other leagues that are also in Europe where you're sharing a room with 5 guys, and those are all Europe. So depending on which level in Europe you're able to get into. Like if you get into the Spanish league or something, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
it's all some of those Eastern European leagues are rough. So I think so they're not all created equal.
One of my buddies played, I want to say it was in Greece, and he was a really good college player. Like he was on a team that was ranked in the top 10 and, averaged double-digit points, for him, and then went to go play in Europe. And he always told me about the owner of the team. He would come in smoking a cigar and would like throw it at players or whatever, and was just crazy. And basically was like a mobster in a way or something. And he still hasn't gotten paid for a lot of the time he was there.
Oh yeah, no,
So
that'll happen. If there's not, if you're in a country or a league where where the league itself is not putting guarantees on things, the league has to enforce the ownership, and if they don't do that, then it can happen. I mean, you mentioned Greece a few years ago. There was a rivalry in soccer, and one of the owners came out on the field with a gun. Like there's, it's not. And Greece is not what most people consider like an uncivilized country. It's just that's like you said. I mean, you said this is definitely true, especially in some of these Eastern European countries. The sports and the mob are intertwined pretty heavily.
Yeah.
And so you gotta know who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was Melissa should be proud of that tangent. No,
I know. Hey, we got one in. That'll probably be the only one.
There we go, Melissa. I don't think that's gonna cover a whole show, but we got one in there anyway. That's becoming a theme of buckets. All right, so let's talk then. So I think we're kind of on the same page on Nijel. What about Norchad?
Yeah, I think to me, Norchad, I hate I feel like I always bring up his name, but it's similar with Jordan Miller of last season, and that this year I felt like you didn't really see him not to say that we had plays drawn up for guys, but a lot of his baskets and stuff were off offensive rebounds, more hustle things. I think that this coming season, if we see him, because nothing's 100%, even though I do think he's going to be our starting center or whatever you want to call him, starting big man next season. Seeing him show off his versatility in terms of putting the ball on the floor, his ability to pass, because that's something if he wants to play at the next level, you have to have that versatility if you're undersized. He has the athletic ability, he has the hustle, he has a unique ability to just find the ball on the offensive glass and whatnot. So there's just some things that, I think a lot of scouts just need to see, more of.
Yeah, and you make a good point. I think it's hard to remember back, not to last year, but the year before that, we made the Elite Eight, of how Jordan Miller, he was a starter, was not a primary player, because Moore, McGusty, and Wong was where the ball was.
Charlie Moore,
and it's hard to think back to 2 years where he was essentially, his role was similar in terms, obviously completely different players, but in terms of role he had carved out was similar to what Wooga played this year. The fourth option on offense, get the secondary scoring maybe, but not really a primary player. And then obviously Jordan Miller this year, like you said, was, behind Wong, probably the person who running the offense through the most, was able to show off a lot more of his game. And Norchad has that opportunity because we lost Miller and Wong. So it's his opportunity to kind of step up and grow into that. The one thing I will say with him, though, you mentioned he does definitely have that innate ability to find the ball on rebounds. Mm-hmm. He's a rebound magnet. But I do feel, and Melissa's brought this up plenty of times as well, at his height, he's got to be able to shoot a lot better. And I think he can. I worry about because he actually, we all made fun of Anthony Walker for just having that confidence to jack up a three whenever he wanted. Yeah. Norchad actually did a better job.
That's a nice shot.
You're right. That was my point. He actually, I would rather him shoot, and he made a few this year, and his stroke was a lot more, I'd say, likely to go in. The issue I have with it is it's a slow delivery.
Yeah, I think it takes him a long time to get his shot up,
right,
in his shooting pocket and whatnot. But his follow through is really nice, and he has very, very soft touch. If you look at his misses, it wasn't similar to Anthony Walker, these long misses or these misses that you could hear it hitting the rim.
Yeah.
So that's what I look at as
a
shooter.
But he's got to quicken his release, because it's just way too slow right now, and because he's not being guarded, so he has that time to line it up. I will say this: I think before the Drake game, he hit 10 in a row from the top of the key from three in warm-ups, and then or it was either that one or FSU, I cannot remember. But then the first play of the game, I don't know if you recall, a few times last year, the first play of the game, he would just shoot a three on the first possession.
Yeah.
I think it's because of that. Because he made every single one in warm-ups that the first play of the game, the ball came, he bricked it. But it was, and I think it was against Virginia Tech where he made it and he opened the game with a three. And I think he was kind of like, if I'm making these in warm-ups first play of the game, they're going to leave him open. And I think for him, the adjustment, we're talking about the next level, is to get the shot up quicker, do a little bit more catch and shoot versus, like you said, the way you phrased it was part get into his shooting motion. He's very slow to kind of almost like lines it up. And then once his actual shooting motion is fine. And like you said, smoother than, I mean, in theory, if he can, get a little bit of more urgency, I would say in his catch and shoot, then the stroke is there to actually be a good, or at least a solid jump shooter. I just, again, translate that to the next level, though, that the NBA is all just shooting 3-pointers at this point. I mean, it's just, especially at 6'7", it feels like he's going to have to get a lot better at that. And that's the one thing that concerns me. The evaluation comes back that you need to shoot more, and you need to shoot better, and you need to shoot at a higher level. That is not the role we have for him. And that's the one thing that would concern me if he, determines that this is not, that he's not going to actually be able to develop his game in college, because in college he's always going to be a big in the paint.
Yeah. I think too, I would say that if he can display just an ability to knock down that shot, like maybe not necessarily taking the highest volume, where it's like 1 to 2 a game, and he like makes maybe 2, I would lean, and he can make 1 or 2, and then he has a couple games where obviously like you get a feel and you can really knock him down. That's kind of what I think would help improve a lot. I don't think I would really want to see him take any more than that, just because it's a completely different mentality. Like, how do you go from switching to spotting up situations to diving and attacking the offensive glass?
Yeah, no, I agree. For us, it makes sense for him to be around the rim.
Mm-hmm.
For him, does it? For
Yeah.
his NBA future, probably not. He's not going to be able to play there in the NBA. So, I don't know. That's the only thing I'd say about that. Like, I don't know that his whatever evaluation gets from the draft, I assume is going to, be around the stuff you mentioned too, the ball handling and essentially being able to play on the perimeter, which means shooting, handling, driving, and he's kind of the opposite now. Now he can't actually handle well for a big man, and he's actually very mobile on the perimeter for a big man. But the NBA, he's not a big man. And that's I think where the disconnect is. But I agree. I think he'll come back. I think he's just going through the process. So I'm not really worried about it, but I do wonder like how much, if I'm in his shoes, how much is he going to be able to fix his game, address the concerns they have here or anywhere in college for that matter.
Yeah. No, it's true.
And does that hasten his, like, I'm just going to move on?
I just don't see him moving on. You mean like transferring?
No, I don't think he'll transfer. I mean, just staying in the draft.
Oh, okay. I got you.
No, he definitely won't transfer because, again, I think anyone at the college level, he can play center in college. I mean, he's proven that. He made the Final Four, right? And that is where, and because his skills are rebounding, he's actually a really good post defender too, because he's good at positional defense. So even for his size, it's hard to. That's how he holds up against much taller players in college. So he's fine as a college center. He's one of the better centers in the ACC right now. The way he plays that position at his height is not a position in the NBA. He's a perimeter player in the NBA at 6'7".
Yeah.
And so my concern with him is not transferring. It's him going in the draft, getting an evaluation space. Like, these are all these things that you're never going to be able to work on in college.
Yeah. No, it's true.
I don't think he's going to get anything bad's going to say he's going to get drafted. That's not what I'm worried, because I don't think he'll get drafted, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's at that level yet.
Yeah,
but I think he can be.
So I'm not worried he's going to like see a draft grade that's going to be like, oh, I'm in the first round. Bye. I think it's more just like, what are the opportunities to address his shortcomings in college? I don't know that there's that many. But no, he's. I still think he'll be back. because there is something to be said. I think one of the things we kind of tend to discount this analysis is there's something to be said about playing college basketball at a high level just as a thing. It's not all draft stock and money, and there is something to be said about playing the ACC, a team that went to the Final Four, and wanting to experience more of that. So I think that's ultimately a deciding factor for a lot of them.
Yeah. So let me ask you then. Obviously, we talked about Omier, and we talked about Nigel Pack. How concerned are you about the transfer situation? We've been linked to a few transfers that, have decided to go elsewhere, or they haven't made a decision yet. What are your feelings?
I mean, I'm okay with it so far. We were mixed on some of the ones we were, that we were rumored for. Like I think you were probably higher on Robbie Barron and that whole one day fiasco than I think Melissa and I were last week's show. We just kind of been like, don't like it.
Yeah, you know what it was? I watched 2 of his games, like 2 of the full games, and he was a lot better defensively than I realized. And I thought he was more versatile on offense than Mustafa was. Because Mustafa to me was just literally stand there and shoot.
That's Melissa's guy.
I don't know if you saw him try to drive in. It was really ugly to watch, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so I mean, I know Melissa was really high on him. I mean, some of the other ones, like I don't know that we ever really had a realistic shot at Hart. I feel like he was always going home.
Team Hart, yeah.
So I don't think any of them have come out where I'm like, I cannot believe we didn't get that guy. I think it's just the cumulative effect of we were on 10 people's lists and now it's Cleveland. And it's kind of like, all right, where else? I think that's kind of more. It's not that we missed out on someone we had to have, because I don't think any of the guys that we've been rumored for, we actually thought, oh yeah, we're getting that guy, or oh, we need that specific player. I guess we thought we were getting Robbie Barron for a day, but that wasn't our fault. That was because we got to have that guy. It was more just he was rumored to have said he was committing here, and I guess the other reason overall I'm not concerned. I'd love to get Cleveland in here, but the portal is still being filled with quality, talented players. And the other thing, and then I'm going to throw the same question you just asked me back to you, but Melissa brought this up yesterday as well. Coach L, it's been pretty candid saying a lot of players are throwing our name in there because they think we're the NIL school, and if they use our name and say Miami's interested, they'll get more money. So I don't know that, for example, some of them, right, like Robbie Barron's going to an ACC school. Do you really think Mustafa Amzil could have gone to Miami but went to New Mexico instead? Like, really? He really had an option to come here and take a scholarship.
Well, even Robbie Barron, he had Virginia, Miami, and then Virginia Tech, and he ends up going to Virginia Tech.
Oh yeah, Virginia Tech. Sorry, yeah. I mean, which at least that's an ACC school, and he's from that area, and it was one of his finalists coming out of high school. Looking at someone that's going to pick New Mexico. Yeah. As it like I at that point I don't believe he had an committable offer. He might have been like apparently he visited campus. He might have been like a plan C or something, and then he had to commit to New Mexico because maybe they wouldn't have that door open for him a week from now, 2 weeks from now. But I can't imagine he was sitting there like New Mexico, Miami, New Mexico, Miami. All right, New Mexico. Like I can't. That didn't happen.
He visited. It wasn't it pretty early though.
It was
during the portal time too. So, I mean, that's what you kind of have to look at as well.
Well, let me ask you this question too. Then, in addition to answering kind of the question you asked me in terms of how concerned you are, what do these visits entail? Do you know?
Like what happens in a visit, or I will be 100% honest. I do not know.
Because I'm wondering.
I've tried to find out some details. I'll tell you that, but I haven't really gotten anything.
Because I do wonder if for like a transfer visit, do they work the kids out at all?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I'm curious if they ever like bring a kid in there. I was like actually seeing this kid in person.
Oh, and they were like, "Ooh, I don't know about this one."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Mustafa. They probably
well, not even using him specifically, just generally.
But,
he's obviously a D1 basketball player.
yeah,
I doubt he wouldn't be able to do a workout. It's just more. I'm curious if there's any like evaluation done with them on campus, or if it's really just trying to wine and dine them to convince them to.
I don't know. I can try to find out for you. I mean, I've been trying.
All right. Yeah, I didn't think you would know, but I was just curious, like, how much of this is like, is it really just they break down a kid's film? Because you're not really scouting. It's very different than high school. You're deliberately going to high school games and watching kids and all that. And then you're not really scouting other random D1 basketball teams in other parts of the country that are playing games the same time you are. I mean, you're really just using a lot of film breakdown in your coach's network to get information. Like, obviously, Coach Al's a huge network, so he'll, just using, let's say, Robbie Barron, he'll have contacts to the Big Ten. He'll talk to, other like opposing coaches, like he'll talk to like Juwan Howard and stuff and get information on them and that type of stuff. But probably haven't seen most of these guys in person ever, really.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the transfers that we've gotten in the past, there's been some sort of like connection, right? Like I want to say Charlie Moore was somehow connected to Bill Courtney, our assistant coach.
And Coach L actually knew him. He had recruited him.
Yeah,
had
like a while back.
Some kind of personal connection with him from way back, like when he was in high school, and they kind of kept in touch a little bit. And Coach L actually, when he went into the portal, Coach L still has phone number, and he contacted him directly, like right when Charlie Moore hit the portal, was like, "Do you want to come to Miami?"
Yeah, so it makes you think, like, I mean, should in terms of me and you, like, should we be focusing on guys that have some sort of connection to Miami or loose connection or connection to the coaching staff as well? Because there are guys in the portal still that, I mean, when there's this many guys in the portal, of course, there's going to be guys that have connections to the staff, right?
Well, one of the ones we talked about last night was Garrett Glenn, who I think Garrett, his last name is Glenn, who entered the portal from Michigan, was a 4-star from South Florida. Didn't really play a lot this year. Played 11 minutes total. Is now in the portal at Michigan, and that was our rationale. I have no idea if we're interested at all, but that was our rationale for bringing him. I was like, he's from South Florida, so there might be, we'll definitely know his high school coaches and all that. So,
and then even someone I know, RJ Lewis, I think, is from Miami as well.
Right. So there's going to be local connections, and then Coach L's network is vast. You mentioned like Jordan Miller is from Mason. Norchad's Nicaraguan. He's practically from Miami then. So
yeah, he was. Yeah, that's his area, man.
Yeah. So there has been a little bit of a tie in there. All right, so you did kind of transition. I'd love for you to answer the same question you asked me, which is like how nervous or worried are you about I guess let's just say generally the current state of the roster.
Like if I did a 1 out of 10. Like how concerned I was. I'm someone that doesn't normally panic though at all until it's like, okay, this is what the roster is. I know there's a lot of people on Twitter that are very, skeptical of what the roster is going to look like. They're just automatically assuming Nigel Pack is going to be gone and Norchad Omier is going to be gone and this roster is going to be completely different. But to be honest, like I'm not really worried because everything that Coach L has shown he can do and how we work the portal, I could totally just seeing us land someone. This is just, I don't know anything. Like 2 weeks from now, we get some big announcement or like Matthew Cleveland commits to Miami or something like that happens. I wouldn't be shocked by it. I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm not very concerned.
Yeah, I think it's just that we've had 4 or 5 players leave now? 6? How many players are gone?
Yeah, but we have to look at it in terms of like production, right? Like obviously we knew Jordan Miller was going to be gone.
Right, and we were pretty sure Wong would, and he did.
Yeah. So you look at it, it's Harlan Beverly and Anthony Walker are the main 2, right? That in terms of production that are leaving that were like, okay, they left. But I think you and I both kind of agreed that they weren't significant losses. The Beverly loss hit more.
This is provided we actually bring in quality replacements.
Oh, okay.
Right. I think that's.
But it's not like they're irreplaceable.
No, they're not. But I guess so. There's a kind of a twofold question for you.
Okay.
So we obviously look. I was joking yesterday on our show about this. We're obviously going to field the team next year. So right now we don't have one really. Like we have pieces of a team. So at what point do you get? Because I'm totally in the same mind space as you. Like it's a long process here. We're still in April. And coach out and you know we didn't know anything about Norchad. We didn't know anything about Jordan Miller. It's like when we got them, we were like, oh my god, we got Jordan Miller. Wow, I cannot believe we landed this guy. And then like he's one of the best players in school history 2 years later, right? So like you said, the coaches know what they're doing.
Yeah.
At what point would you start getting nervous?
When's the deadline for?
I don't have the dates in front of me. No, maybe someone in the chat could let us know when I guess when's the deadline for them to sign with us or to
sign or because doesn't the portal close again? Or
the portal does close, but I don't think it's the football portal closes like this week. I don't think the basketball one. I think it's still open for a while.
For a while,
I think. But anyone in the chat, if you want to,
maybe I would start to worry when it closes again. It just depends how far out that is.
Okay, so if we're, I can't. I guess the one thing we won't know is like, are we taking plan B's and C's at some point? Like, we would, because again, we're going to field a team, but we won't have any idea if the guys coming in are the plan A or they the plan D. Are you?
I think we'll have some. Me and you are kind of smart, Vish. I think we'll kind of know that.
Speak for yourself.
Right. Well,
I mean, it's hard to tell though, because again, like if let's go back 2 years, right? And if we were rumored to get like players out of big power conference that got in the portal, named Miami. Apparently, some of them visited campus. They all went elsewhere, and then we took some like tweener from George Mason. Would we not be thinking that looks like we settled there because we couldn't get the guys we wanted? Except Jordan is obviously way better than anyone in the portal right now. And it's just kind of, I don't know. I think it's all it'll be confirmation bias after the fact. Really, I think it's so hard to know because I mean, what McGusty came from Oklahoma. It's kind of the only big school because we've gotten a lot of transfers.
Well, Sheldon McClellan came from Texas.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sheldon McClellan did come from Texas.
And Angel Rodriguez from Kansas State. Kamari Murphy, Oklahoma State.
Some of those are boring.
Right. Yeah, sorry.
But those are power schools. So, yeah, I guess we have, now that you're running the list down,
Yeah.
So that's they're been actually it's we just go with the Big 12 because Nijel too. So who in the Big 12 are we? Because we've done Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma State.
Keith Stone came from Florida. Sorry, I got to get it in every episode.
Get Keith Stone in. Well, so did Kenny Kaji.
Shout out Keith Stone.
Go there too with the Kenny Kaji too.
Kenny Kaji too. Yeah.
Yeah, but it sounds like we do a lot of Big 12 recruiting. What's his face? Did Morris come in anywhere? The Texas kid.
I don't think so.
Does he want to start at shooting guard? Because he definitely would.
There's still a lot of guys that are. I think even. I don't know not saying the fit is great, but I know like Max Abmas, isn't he still in the portal too?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a lot of guys still in the portal. Like a lot of the, like a lot of the ones that went in actually at the very beginning are still kind of sitting there. I think like Dickinson's still in there too. Right? I know you hate him, but I shouldn't say hate. You're not a fan of his game. That made it sound very personal.
Yeah, it sounds so.
It's like you have like a dart.
Screw him! I hate him.
Throwing darts at him. Yeah, but
no, I just don't think he fits.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Unless we're actually going to play Norchad at the 4 on the perimeter or something, which I don't think anyone wants to do.
Yeah, unless we're going to shift how we play.
Yeah, so, but I mean, I don't think he's committed anywhere. There's quite a few that have not really.
I mean, Matthew Cleveland, obviously. I think Jalen Tyson is still.
Yeah, so there's some big names. And like we said, there are players entering right now that are talented too. So stuff is still happening. To Category 5's point, though, if Nijel and Norchad go, then we are. I did the mental exercise. It would be be starting Bensley and Wooga and Chris Watson and AJ Casey and question mark, I think, is our starting 5 at that point.
In question mark.
I mean, we still have a, like, in theory, if we didn't, obviously we have to get more players, so we don't even have to like really run a full team out there. But right now we would start Nijel, either George or Watson. We haven't talked about Keyshawn George either.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you.
Well, let's talk about him in a second. But he or Chris Watson would start the 2. We'll get the 3. Probably Casey at the 4 at this point if we don't bring anyone else in, which obviously we're going to. And Norchad at the 5. That's not a great starting line, but it's not bad. And with some development, it could actually be good.
Yeah.
But without Nijel and Norchad, it is bad. Like there's can't even fill a team out. So yeah, that's definitely true. Category 5. Gotta hope those 2 don't go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I wonder. I know you tend to do a lot of our for the show, not just with me, but for Melissa as well. Do a lot of the film breakdown and stuff. So I know it's hard to find anything on Keyshawn George, but any initial thoughts on him?
Yeah, so I feel like it's almost like you got to go back and watch his, like, you're watching like AYSO or something, like old school like clips and whatnot. But no, I really like the kid. Someone that I didn't know once he committed and stuff. Obviously, more of an international guy. I follow more high school recruits and stuff, but impressive. I mean, I think he grew, it was over 10 inches over 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So you can see that he has those like point guard skills, even at his size at 6'6", 6'7", depending on what you look at. So, super interesting player. I like the way that he plays the pick and roll. Pretty elite at it. That's something that Isaiah Wong was really good at and really, excelled at in this offense. So I think that's something that would help him right off the gate. And I really like the patience he plays with too. Like he's not going to try to just like blow by you to score. He's going to use angles really well. He's going to try to create space in different ways. And that's a key thing in terms of like limiting turnovers as well. And I think just in general, like his shooting too really impressed me. I really liked his shot. I think he's someone that can consistently knock down that 3-point shot. And, based on what I've heard, I think that he's more of a contributor in his first year than people realize.
I mean, he's older too, right?
Yeah, I believe he's 19 now.
Yeah, I think he'll be 20 in the middle of next season.
Yeah.
Like that, so, yeah.
And so I wouldn't look at this as so much as like a new like high school recruits just coming in, as like a freshman. This guy's more polished than a high school recruit, right? So I see him making an immediate impact. I don't know if that's starting. I don't know if that's a key player off the bench, but I think it's one of the two.
Yeah, and just a word to the wise to everyone out there. He's, as an international player, he's not really rated on a lot of the recruiting sites. So now if you pull up our recruiting rankings, when you add a 0-star player to your average, it tanks your ranking. So
which is stupid.
Which is so on a lot of the recruiting sites now, we will be rated as half a Nwoko. Because you get 0 credit for George, but he counts as another player. So now when they do like average stars and all that, it's 0 plus I think Nwoko's like a 3 or 4 star. So you end up having 2 players averaging out to like 1.5 stars, and that's a horrible recruiting class. So so don't read too much into that type of stuff. Yeah, I mean I looked at a couple of highlight YouTube reels of his. There was those are obviously edited for effect, so it's hard to get, the better YouTube highlights are the ones where they're kind of like game action, where you can actually see the
to be honest, I really like watching full games because like then you see, okay, this is how they play help side defense. Are they actually going to be a reliable defender? How do they score? You don't just see the clip of them just shooting a jump shot and that's it, or just making a layup. You see everything that went into it, right? So
we got none of that here. So at least as far as I can see, I looked, could find nothing. So yeah, we're kind of just going off of a couple of very short highlight clips and, like you said, kind of just reading scouting reports.
No, absolutely.
So yeah, but I still think, like you said, he's older. He's I think ready to contribute right away. And again, depending on who we get in the portal, maybe even start. He could be a starter at shooting guard. If we only get, I mean, there's multiple ways that this can go, right? If we get a starting quality power forward and a starting quality shooting guard, that'll be the starting five, right? If we don't, we do have options. Like either George or Watson can definitely start at shooting guard. Like they're good enough to do that.
How crazy it is to have two guards that are 6'7" that can start at the two. Like,
yeah, no, yeah, it's a good point. All of a sudden, we'll be big. Norchad will be the shortest player on the. But so I mean,
that would be hilarious if he was the second shortest player. Like Pack is starting,
and then him, yeah. But so I mean, but obviously we're hoping to get someone that's more seasoned to come and start right away and bring those guys off the bench as contributors, but. I think again, I still think the power forward position is not there right now. We definitely need a starter there, I think.
Yeah. Are you still on the boat of getting a stretch four?
I think so, unless Coach L knows Norchad is leaving, and that's a rethink, right? But if you think he's coming back, you cannot have the four bringing his defender to Norchad. You gotta stretch the four out, and Jordan Miller wasn't like a traditional stretch four, but he occupied multiple defenders, so it's like he created the same effect. Like you weren't guarding him 1-on-1, or he was going to score. So, so he gave the space. But I just to be blunt, I don't think we're going to get someone as talented as Jordan Miller in there. So
no, I think you try to find.
Yeah, so I think the way you can create some of the same effect is, okay, this guy is like a knockdown 3-point shooter. You have to stay out on him, and that's where you can create the floor spacing.
Yeah.
Where are you at on that?
No, I agree with that. I think someone like Melissa loves to say, like Kenny Kaji. Or even Sam Wardenberg, they're kind of different players, but both of them were good shooters. Both of them could put the ball on the floor. Sam, I can't remember how Kenny was with this, but Sam was a really good passer. He had some of the best lead passes into cuts from a big man. So having a little bit of versatility in that regard.
I mean, Kenny Kaji, I also don't remember, but what a dramatically different offense. It was all pick and roll. It was all pick and roll. So he wasn't really in a situation which we've now changed.
A few years too early.
Yeah. Yeah, to play at the next level. But now it's all player and ball movement. Like back then it was everything was pick and roll.
Yeah.
And so that fit his game perfectly in terms of he could pick and pop or get to the rim, but I don't think he had to do much ball handling.
Yeah,
and certainly not like passing. To the extent, I mean, he had a pretty decent dribble drive game, especially for college.
He could drive by you if you overplayed him on the shot.
Right, but it was all set up by pick and roll stuff, and I can't remember. I mean, we obviously set screens, but we're not really running that at pick and roll game anymore. It's
more handoffs too.
It's handoff, it's isolations, it's ball and player movement. We're spacing the floor out and picking and doing pick and rolls actually compresses the floor. So it's kind of. Man, are you in a construction site? What's happening here?
No, they're like trimming trees in front of my house, and I have to have the window open because it's super hot in here. I didn't think it's that loud.
Oh, it is bad. I've been hearing it for about 5 minutes now. And I was like, I should say something because I know our listeners can hear it. No, it's not a big deal.
I'm sorry.
You're still audible. We can still hear you. It's just yeah. I was like, okay, I want everyone to know they're not going crazy. Yes, we can hear that. All right. So I guess off the wall question.
Okay.
So outside, is there anyone in the portal? And you mentioned look for Miami ties. Or is there anyone that you're looking at? Or
I'll be honest with you. I think this is just like shots in the dark. So obviously, besides Matthew Cleveland, because that's the person that we've been in.
I'm gonna ask you
contact
about
with
him
the
in a
most.
second, but yeah.
So
I guess even even if it's not like because obviously we have no idea where any of these guys are going, and there's no other, just to be clear, other than Matt Cleveland, there's no other even rumored players to Miami, which doesn't mean anything because, like you said, Keyshawn George all of a sudden is here, and a lot of the times when we nab players, there's no rumors at all. It's just all of a sudden like announcement that they've committed. So that doesn't mean anything. But is there anyone like that you've seen pop in as like, oh, I really like that guy, or you're still kind of just wait and see on this?
it's still kind of wait and see. I know Tanner Holden was a name that I told you. I think was it before the show even started.
Yeah, I think so.
He entered the portal today from Ohio State. He put up, it was only like 4 points per game, but he didn't really get an opportunity at Ohio State. He was a transfer from, I want to say Wright State. It was a small mid-major, but he put up like 20 a game. He's a 6'5" guard. I think he would kind of fit. He can shoot the three and whatnot. No connection to Miami at all. That's just like one of the more recent names. I haven't seen a lot of guys that I would think, because I'm thinking right out the gate like a starting guard, right?
Right.
From coming from that perspective. Besides him, I haven't really even seen, and I'm not 100% sold on him. I haven't watched clips of him like at Ohio State. I just remember from when he entered the portal at Wright State, and he was a name that I was watching. But besides him, no, not necessarily, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
But
another shooting guard that Melissa and I talked about was Tyron Lawrence out of Vanderbilt. He just entered the portal. His numbers are off the charts.
Yeah, did he? Oh, he just entered the portal.
He just entered the portal yesterday or Monday. So don't know. The only reason we brought him up is I'll be blunt. I'll be transparent. I Googled Tyron Lawrence Miami, and there was a snippet in an article saying you'd be a perfect fit for Miami systems. I was like, well, let's talk about this kid, but there's no indication he's even considering us. So
yeah, I know that there was a guard from Gonzaga. I think his name's like Hunter Salas.
He was like committed. I thought he
he did commit
today.
Somewhere.
Someone on Gonzaga committed. There was a lot of commits today.
I know Severe Wheeler committed to Washington.
No, it was someone on Gonzaga, I think, committed to the ACC, I want to say. Because I remember thinking, oh, that's interesting. We're going to play this. There was a flurry of commits this afternoon, and I probably should have done more research for the show. I'll pull that up in a second. But or if it looks like you're pulling it up now, so I can figure that out.
No, I was trying to figure out. There was another name, too. There was a guy from Oklahoma State, too, a guard, but I can't remember his name that I had kind of looked at as well. That was in the portal. I don't know if he committed anywhere, but he was someone as well. No, but who are we talking about? Hunter Salas?
I think so. Hold on. I'm looking for. There was a Gonzaga player that committed. This is like, yeah, Hunter Salas committed to Wake Forest. That's what it was.
That's what it was then.
Yeah, so he went to Wake Forest.
Oh, he's gonna light us up then.
He went to Wake Forest. There's some other ACC news. What's his name? JJ Starling, the Notre Dame kid, went to Syracuse. Oh wait, this is old. Why is this pinned? That happened like a month ago. Okay, well here's some. Puff Johnson left the ACC, went to Penn State.
Yeah, he went to Penn State.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that there was a transfer from USC. I just don't know if he committed somewhere. He was like an oversized guard. He was someone I looked at initially, but I hadn't looked him up in a long time. Is it Trey White?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, Trey White. He was a freshman last season. He's 6'7", averaged like 9 a game.
Did he commit anywhere?
No, not yet.
If we keep naming enough kids, eventually one of them will be true.
Yeah. Say, oh, you heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly. It's just we can selectively clip it. Forget all the other names we mentioned that ended up being wrong and not coming here. We just get that one name right, and then we just clip it out.
Let's just list all like 2,000 whatever names.
Next week we'll just read the portal off and all the names that are there. All right, so as we kind of head towards wrapping up here, I'm going to ask you the same question Melissa asked me yesterday. It's on Matt Cleveland. I told I was going to circle back to him.
Okay.
What's your feelings? There's down to 3 schools: Miami, Auburn, and Missouri. Those are his 3. What are your feelings on? And she asked me to give a percentage. What % chance do you think he comes to Miami?
Dude, I have no idea what to feel about this. It's just so weird. Like a prominent, like a key player from FSU transferring to Miami.
So I'll tell you what I told Melissa about that, because I actually gave him a high number. I think it was like 75 or 80%. The reason I said that is the reasons we say he shouldn't come to Miami are it's a rival, it'd be weird, all that. How did we make his top 3 then?
That's
because he started with like 20 schools. You remember when he first entered the portal, he had like a list of a bunch of schools that contacted him that he released. And then he cut down to 3, and we're still in there. Now, it could be what Coach L was talking about with keep us in there for the NIL money. He's really just deciding between, which type of Tiger he wants to be. So there could be that. But if he's actually seriously interested in us, I'm assuming he's overcome they're a rival type of thing. But
it's just, it wasn't necessarily about him and his decision making. It's just so like crazy and weird to me. But
I'm gonna hold you to it. She made me make a number up, and she made one up too. So
I will say, I do feel good about it, just because of where we are at as a program. I think it's between us and Auburn, to be 100% honest. I don't know anything, but if I was to guess, I know Missouri has a really good coach in Dennis Gates and stuff. He's like gonna turn around that program, I believe. But he's from Georgia, right? Matthew Cleveland?
Yeah, he's from Georgia.
I think it's either us or I'm gonna go like 63%.
Wow, you went that specific. 63%.
Yeah, 63. It felt like a good number.
That's a good number. It's definitely a good number.
Yeah, I know he's on his visit right now, I think, to Auburn, isn't he?
Yeah, so this is a nervous times for us.
I know. I'm gonna look him up on.
Did he visit? Did he visit here?
Yeah, he did. It was a couple weeks ago.
Missouri as well.
Missouri, I'm not sure.
I know he visited several weeks ago because he hit a game-winning shot against us, but he was on campus in March.
He's been on our campus the most.
I think it was February. He's definitely been on campus. We're in other colors, but he's been on campus. Okay, well, yeah. So like we basically did a similar thing last night, where we broke down like Miami, Auburn, and at the end was like, watch out, pick Missouri now. So maybe that'll end up being the way this goes after we kind of dismiss them as an option. All right, man. Well, are we going to see you next week, or is it going to be wedding fever at that point? It's probably going to be pretty intense for you, right?
We'll chalk it up as a TBD.
All right. It's going to be a game time coach's decision. By coach, we mean your fiance. So
well, only because it might rain on our wedding day, so it might be and it's an outdoor venue, so we might have a lot of planning.
So what do you have to do in that situation then?
We would have to get like a giant tent.
You can do that.
I know, it would just suck.
Done the giant tent thing for occasions before when we're doing out, because Miami is, I'm sort of saying in California, you do like everything outdoor.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh crap, it's gonna rain. Oh, we gotta rent a giant tent. Anyway, we'll obviously talk offline, but if I don't talk to you on a stream before the big day, congratulations, man. Good luck. And we won't interrupt your honeymoon, but you will be back to co-host with us. And, maybe when we welcome you back from that, it'll be a 3-person show, and we can finally align. The stars will align, and the 3 of us can finally get on a show again. But we'll see you next week. Great. If I don't, good luck and congratulations again.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It was a good time as always.
Yep. All right. We'll talk at some point in the future.
Sounds good, man.
All right.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. The 6 Rig Kane Show. The Six Rings Kane Show. You know,